Hi, I'm El from Albopepper.com, and I want to show you what I've done this year. It's been the second winter that my red wiggler earthworms have survived being outside, and I'll show you what I was doing just to take care of the contents and to be able to harvest the worm castings. A very simple, easy way to take care of your worms. I want to show you how it's worked out. This is my first overwintering of my redworms. In this particular spot here, there's this box that I built to keep them and also to allow me to grow some plants, herbs, flowers, whatever. So over the winter, to try to protect the worms, I put in some cardboard, and I had layered some different materials, some scraps of food and vegetables and stuff. I got coffee grinds, you can see here, and so this has all been able to start to break down, and hopefully that was also helping to insulate the worms enough that they were able to survive, but I have no idea if that worked. So I'm just going to start by digging in here and seeing what I can actually find. Well, here's the first survivor that I spotted. I had to go down through several inches that was just frozen solid. But as you break up and pull up those chunks of ice underneath, here's a worm. As I start to dig around, I know I'm going to spot more of these guys. It looks like once again I've been able to overwinter outside in Zone 6 a batch of redworms just by having them under a pile of leaves to carry them through the winter. It's now the beginning of April, and oh yeah, check it out. Now that the ground's thawed out, I'm able to actually dig under here a little bit more, and all through this pile I have my red wigglers hanging out, doing their thing. Nothing forcing them to stay here, but yet they've chosen to do so of their own free will. These are what I call free-range worms. I don't have them in this big tower, this apartment complex of a worm farm. I don't have them in some plastic tote. Those are methods that people use and that work. But I just wanted to try something where maybe I could just have them outside, keep them kind of in a confined area, but not force them to stay there. I've seen these horror stories where people have these worm beds that for some reason, maybe the pH or whatever it is gets imbalanced, and these worms just try to have a mass exodus where they all try to leave. And I thought, well, if I have them in a box outside that's right built into the ground, right on top of the ground with no barrier, if they really have a major problem with whatever I'm feeding them, they're free to leave. You know, this isn't worm slavery. You know, it's a free worm country here. So I was surprised to see how for a couple years now they did stick around. It's been several months. In fact, now it's the beginning of June, and I'm in the process of dividing my pile. I'm going to be pulling everything to the one half of the container, and then with everything in the one half, I'll let that finish, and the worms can continue to process, break things down, and then all my new fresh stuff will go on this half, so that eventually this will be completely broken down, and this will be the fresher stuff, and the worms will eventually start to go towards that. That's the concept anyways. But I thought I would show what type of population I actually have now that I've begun to dig this up, and show you these worms that are just here kind of hanging out. Ones that are from an original order I placed 2 years ago, and I've never restocked them or anything. As you can see here, these guys are all through here. As I dig, I find more and more. Now, I want to show you what it was that I did to try to manage this box in regards to separating the actual castings from the fresh organic material, because at a certain point you're going to keep having this fresh stuff, but you don't really want that in your way. You want to just be able to focus on the spent materials that are full of castings, and I'll show you how I began to separate these out. It's now August 1st, and this side has had a lot of time for the worms to finish it off and to kind of even be able to move over to this other side, which is where I've been putting all of my new stuff. So I'll put in like a layer of cardboard that's been torn up, maybe some coffee grounds, and then put in some leafy material, not stuff that's excessively diseased, nothing that's an invasive weed, nothing with weed seeds or anything from when you're deadheading stuff, you know, nothing that's high seed content. And so just kind of put layer after layer after layer, building up this new stuff and letting the worms hopefully move over there so that there's less over here as they've finished this off. And now I'm at a point that I'm ready to actually sift this and get my actual worm castings that I'll be able to use for the new season. There's a million different ways that you can actually sift these. I'm just going to show you how I'm doing it today. I filled up this bucket and I'm just shoveling it into one of these sieves, and it's in a tote. So I'm going to do a pre-sift where I'm getting out all the big stuff using something that's like around that size, that might be a 1/4 inch, just getting out all the big stuff. And then after that I'm actually using just a regular screen from like a storm window, just a regular screen door, and I'll be doing the final sifting in one of these totes, and that stuff should be very nice and fine and perfect for using with seedlings and things like that. Alright, so this stuff is all sifted, and here are some very nice fine worm castings that can be used for all sorts of gardening purposes. This is my total worm casting harvest for 2015. This container is completely full. It is a 31 quart container, and I've packed these things in pretty tightly. So I want to see how many pounds of castings I actually got this year. So I'm going to actually throw them on the scale and find out. Let's see. We're on the scale here, and looks like just about 28 pounds when you account for the weight of the container itself. So that's not too bad with a minimal amount of effort. I have 28 pounds of worm castings, which I'm going to be able to use for the upcoming season. Hey guys, like I said, this is just the way that I'm growing these worms, and it was something I wanted to try just to see if it could be done. Many people have the impression that worms aren't even going to be able to survive outdoors in a harsh winter, and I've seen in Zone 6, amongst difficult, very cold winters, that they've been able to do it. So it's a level of resiliency that if you have them built into the ground or low to the ground, that's something that is a possible option. And when I first started out, I was also interested to see if using treated wood was going to have some kind of a horrible effect on them. It definitely didn't do anything to just keep this box bug-free or worm-free. Bugs and worms alike just crawled along on that material, and they couldn't care less if it was treated wood or not. So, of course, if you're concerned about that, then don't use treated wood. You could build a box like this out of cedar wood or something that doesn't have any of those chemicals that maybe you're concerned about. You could use cinder blocks or something else, depending upon the space that you have and what it is that you're trying to go for. Regardless of how you go about it, I think that every gardener should seriously consider vermicomposting. Use those earthworms, get those worm castings, use them in containers, use them in seed starting mixes. It's an excellent way to break down all those scraps and things that you definitely don't want just going out in the trash or in a landfill. I appreciate you guys taking time to watch this video. Maybe it's given you some cool ideas that you can probably take and just run with. Probably do 10 times better. Hopefully so. Thanks again for watching. Happy gardening.